How many of you out there feel like the leadership lessons in the courses that you have taken are outdated? Now, when I say leadership courses and the things that you've taken, whether you went to graduate school focused on leadership, whether you've been through a leadership development program or some level of training program, do you feel that it's outdated? That what you were taught in a classroom or taught in a sterile environment is not really applicable to what you're dealing with today? If that's you, I want you to drop a yes in the comments. If you feel like the courses, the classes, the professors, the training program that your company or organization put you through gave you a lot of training, but it's not helping you to deal with what you're dealing with right now. If that's you, here's what I want you to understand. I want you to understand that leadership is changing real time. And the question is, are you able to keep up? That's my question for you today. Because what I've found over the better part of 30 years of being a leader, leading and training leaders, and most importantly, advising and strategizing with the leaders at the highest level of an organization, most people still think that leadership is about stability. So they prepare people to lead in stable times. And then when I say prepare people to lead in stable times, they teach you how to do performance evaluations. They teach you how to think about how to say the right things at the town hall meeting or what to communicate to people in a way when times are good. When times are not uncertain, when there's not a lot of risk, when there's not a lot of financial instability, we know how to lead during those times. That's what most leadership books and courses and graduate school programs, they're all focused on helping you to lead with stability, teaching you how to control the environment or in the atmosphere. But I want you to know those models won't work today. Why won't they work today? Because we are in a constant state of change. Nothing is the same today as it was yesterday. And for you as a leader, the team that you lead, the work that you do, you're not in a stable environment. So the command and control framework that you learned in school, that you learned in that last book that you read that was written in 2005, is not going to work today. It's not going to work today. You are in a perpetual state of change. And in a perpetual state of change, leading for control and stability won't work. It won't work. And so today, we're going to spend some time showing you what the new leadership superpower is. And when I say new leadership superpower, I want you to know your ability to adapt is a superpower. That's right. Adaptability is a superpower. And if you don't know how to wield this superpower, you're going to lose your people. You're going to destroy your culture. You're going to undermine the level of trust and credibility that you have as a leader in person in real time. And you also are going to cost your organization lots of money because you don't have the ability to adapt to the rapid and constant state of change that's happening in our environment. Now, I've talked to you about this before, whether it's global instability, economic uncertainty, whether it's the high rate of turnover in your workforce, maybe it's just even talking to your Gen Z and Gen Alpha employees about things like abortion or guns or now war or Gaza and Israel. Like all of these topics seem like they're irrelevant to the work. But if that's what your team is concerned about and what your team wants to know, you being silent and not talking about them is creating a more unstable environment that you're going to have to respond to. And I pray you're not reacting to it. So today, that's what we're going to talk about, is the adaptability that you need to lead in real time. So I'm going to give you 3 things that you need to do in order to be adaptable, to master and harness this superpower for success in your organization. But before I give you those 3 things, I want to make sure that you understand what's wrong in this current environment. And the first thing that is wrong is that so many leaders are using outdated playbooks to manage and lead their teams. They're using playbooks that would work when we had something called stability. Now, when I say we have instability, we have been in a constant state of instability and disruption since March 13th, 2020. The day that the world shut down due to the global pandemic known as COVID-19, we have yet to come out of that constant state of instability. And so you may have had a playbook before there was a thing called remote work. You may have had a playbook for what it meant for your industry to be whole before the pandemic. But now all of those things have changed. And so that what you learned before is not applicable today. You can't go by the same B school model of leadership that you learned a decade ago or 25 years ago. It doesn't work in this environment. There's too much change, too much disruption, too many people moving in new directions that you cannot keep doing the same things that you've always done the way that you've always done them. Instead, you have to learn that there's a whole new playbook. And the playbook is adaptability. The playbook is improvisation. The playbook is overcoming whatever obstacle is in your path. Now, here's what I want you to understand about why you have to be more adaptable and why the playbook doesn't work. Is because your team is carrying a lot more than you could ever know. And when I say your team is carrying a lot more than you could ever know, in this global, diversified work environment, you have no idea the burdens that are on your team's shoulders. Let me give you an example of that. So literally right now, I am working with a leader who does video production work. They do video editing for social media companies and social media businesses all across the globe. And 3 members of the team are in the middle of the Gulf War environment. 2 employees are in UAE. Another employee is outside of Iran. And they are in the middle of a war zone. So this leader cannot get the best output from the team because they're fighting for their lives. They're trying to stay alive. The leader shared with me that one member of the team hasn't had internet access in 10 days. So can you imagine if you're the CEO of this company and a leader on your team has 3 employees that are in the middle of a war zone, do you really think you telling them that they got to get these performance evaluations done by Friday is going to be responded to? Absolutely not. Do you think telling them they have to show up for the town hall meeting, they're going to show up for the town hall meeting? Do you think that if you tell them that this product rollout has to be on schedule and all video assets has to be completed, that it's going to get done? Well, it's not going to get done. And your team is more concerned about their employees who are in the middle of a war zone than they are about anything that you're saying out of your mouth. So your team is carrying so much more than you think. Now, I just use the context of the global war in the Gulf right now to put a little real-time color on it, but you may have people who may be dealing with other issues. They may have children at home who are struggling with self-esteem, who are struggling with bullying at school, and so they've been cutting themselves. Or maybe they're going through a divorce right now and you don't know about it. Maybe they have an illness that they're getting treatment for that they don't want anybody to know at work. You have no idea what your team is carrying right now. So you having this command and control, old school leadership mentality, top down, let me tell you what you need to know and you need to do what I tell you to do because it needs to get done, doesn't work in this current environment. It won't work because your team is carrying so much more. And most of the times, you don't even know what your team is carrying because you're blind, socially blind to what's happening to your people in this unstable world. Or let's just put it plainly. Some of your team members filled up for $4 a gallon of gas in order to be able to drive to the office this morning. $4 a gallon. And that might be setting them some kind of way because they really wanted to save money in 2026 to make sure that they could pay for their kids' college. You have no idea what your team is carrying right now. And that's a mistake that many leaders are making. First, they're using old, outdated playbooks. And secondly, they have no idea what their team is carrying. And the third thing is you as a leader are making a huge mistake if you think being silent about all of these things going on in the world is showing strength and stability. It's not. Instead, what it's doing is creating distance between you and your team. And in that distance is a loss of trust. In that distance is a loss of respect. In that distance is your team saying, my leaders don't have a clue. They have no idea what's going on. They keep saying this old school stuff, these old school statements. Like I was quoted in the Forbes article last month about this. And the quote was about what are some of the phrases that leaders say in the workplace that are completely wrong and completely outdated. And here is the one that I said in the article, is that leaders say, don't bring your problems to work. Don't bring your home life to work. Don't bring what's going on in your outside world inside our world, which is the silliest thing you could ever say to an employee. Because you're asking a person to divorce themselves from who they are. That if they're going through a divorce, they can't put that down and just show up for you and forget all about that. They might want to, but they can't. If their kid is having massive troubles at school, they cannot divorce themselves from those things. If they got employees who are in the middle of a war, they cannot forget about that. It's real for them, and you not acknowledging that, you not talking about that, you not accepting what they're going through is a mistake. You're creating distance. You're showing that you lack emotional intelligence. You lack thoughtfulness, and you are suffering from social blindness. That's what I call it. It's social blindness. So that's the backdrop of the challenges that so many people are in at present. Now, I want to talk to you about why adaptability is the new superpower. Adaptability says that you understand all of the signs around you, that you're able to respond in real time to those surroundings and create and rewrite a new playbook, or should I say, remix the old playbook into a new playbook in real time for what people need. So now I want to give you the 3 ways that you need to shift your behavior, the 3 things that you need to do differently in this environment in order to maximize this superpower. And I say maximize, that's not a real word. Let's say maximize the superpower. Because leadership is changing, and I want to make sure you're changing too. So here's the first thing that you need to know, and the thing that you need to do is that you got to shift your mindset from control of everything to clarity about everything. Shift your mindset from control to clarity. Now, what does shifting from control to clarity looks like? That means you need to be crystal clear in your communication, crystal clear in what it takes to lead in real time. And if you're not crystal clear about what it takes to lead in real time, I want you to type the word clarity in the chat. And when I see your comment, I'm going to give you a resource to help you get to clarity. You got to get the clarity. You can't worry about controlling everything, but you got to be clear about everything. And being clear means understanding the global world around you. Understand what's going on in your industry. Understand what's going on in people's families. It means understanding the impact of your leadership decisions. You can't control everything, but you got to be clear about everything that's going on. That's the first thing. Then the second thing you need to do is, before you take action on anything, you need to gain greater awareness. I like to call it awareness before action. Now, let me give you a context around this awareness before action. That the longer you are in a leadership role, the greater your level of awareness about all of the things that are going wrong should be. Like, if you've been in an organization 25 years and you're at the C-suite level, there shouldn't be a problem in your organization that you're not aware of. You've been around too long. You survived and thrived in that environment. You should know everything that's going on. And I see you, Natalie, that you feel like you got clarity, but you love the resources. Okay. Well, I'm going to give you some resources. Definitely going to give you some resources. So you got to have awareness before action. You can't fix what's wrong until you know what's wrong. So when I say awareness, you need to understand what your people are carrying. So I'm going to give you right now quickly 5 questions that you as a leader should ask your people that you lead. 5 questions. And you should do this in a one-on-one conversation, a small, intimate one-on-one conversation that doesn't have to take an hour or 2 hours. But this is how you find out what your people are carrying. First question is, how are you doing? Sounds clear and easy and simple, but so many leaders don't ask that question. But here's what the patented answer to that question is going to be. I'm doing all right. That's always going to be the answer to that question. But then here is the second question that you ask on top of that. No, seriously, how are things with you, your family, and your life personally? I don't want to talk about work. I want to know, how are things going with you and your life personally? Then you're going to hear a big sigh. And after you hear that big sigh, they're going to share something with you. Here's the third question. What can I do to help? Third question is, what can I do to help? And then this is where you shut up as a leader and you listen to what they say they need help with, no matter what it is. And I'm not saying, if they say, you know what, I'm behind on my mortgage and I need $2,000, I'm not saying reach into your pocket and pull out $2,000 and help them to pay their mortgage. But I am telling you, is that your job is to find them some resources that could help them with their mortgage. You might say, well, that ain't my job, Anthony. Yes, it is. Let me be clear. When you're in a leadership role, your job is to solve the problems for your people so they can do their jobs. You got to serve them so they can serve others. And you serve them by helping them to solve the problem. So shut up and listen when you ask the question, what can I do to help? The fourth question is there anything going on with the team that I should know about so I can help them too? That's the next question. Is there anything going on with the team that I need to know so I can help them with? So you've just framed up, you want to know how they're doing, how they're really doing, what you can do to help them as an individual, and then you're asking them to give you insights about the team that you don't know. And then the final question is a very direct question. I'm trying to make things better here in the organization. If you were me, what's one thing you would tell me to do to improve the organization? I'm mixing the question up. But the point is, you want to ask them, if there's one thing you would like for me to change around here, what would that one thing be? That's probably a better, simpler way to ask that question. If you were me and you had the ability to change one thing around here, what would you tell me to change? See, you're asking these questions because they're giving you awareness of the things going on in the organization, the things going on with your team members, so you can understand where you need to take action. You got to have awareness before you take action. You got to have awareness about problems and challenge before you take action. Don't just take action. You want to be thoughtful, conscientious, socially conscious of what's going on. And Evelyn, I see your comment. Sometimes the team member just wants you to listen and not be so impatient or quick to judge. Just listen and show some empathy. Absolutely. You got to listen and show some empathy. You got to be comfortable with being quiet as a leader. Shut up and listen. Not like some people want LeBron to do, to say shut up and dribble, but shut up and listen. It's a good practice. So that's the second thing. You got to shift your minds. The first thing is you got to shift from control to clarity. The second thing is you got to gain awareness before you take action. Now, here's the third thing that you want to do if you want to be the leader who masters the new superpower of adaptability, is that you have to stop trying to protect your people and prepare them. Prepare them and not protect them. And what do I mean prepare them? Uncertainty, adversity, calamity, economic strife, all of these things are here with us. So you can't protect your people from what's coming. You can't. And you shouldn't try. But a leader prepares them. You prepare them by giving them the tools, the information, and the resources that they need so they can thrive in real time. Preparing them might be telling them all of the things that you know about what's going on. Preparing them might be making sure that they have the tools that they need to respond in the environment. Preparing them might be giving them the resources so they can be successful. Now, I think I shared this example before, but I'm going to close with this because I want y'all to understand what I mean when I say this. When I was a C-level executive in a large, in a large healthcare organization, we were in a tough financial circumstance. So much so that at the C-suite table, we started talking about if things didn't turn around over the next 8 to 12 weeks, we would need to looking at layoffs. And the leadership team basically said, here's 3 groups you need to start to identify now in anticipation of what might happen 8 to 12 weeks from now. Is number 1, who can you let go? Who do you might want to keep if you could keep them, and then who's essential for you to keep. So the conversation was, who do you need to let go? So we were literally having a conversation 8 to 12 weeks before we really could consider that we might do layoffs, but we were thinking about it today. Hey, who can you let go? Who would you like to keep, and who must you keep? 3 groups of people. And we're not making layoffs today, but that's the conversation we were having. So I knew that I could not protect all of my people from what's coming. Somebody was going to go, somebody might stay, and then I had to have a very small list, finite list of people that I was going to keep. Now, let's be clear. All of my people were essential. That's why they were all hired in the first place. But when austerity comes, when uncertainty comes, when all of those things come, you can be in a leadership crisis in that time. So when it is happening, you can't protect your people from all of those things that are coming, but you can prepare them. So let me tell you what I did to prepare my people 12 weeks before we ended up having to lay people off. Is that I left out of that senior leadership meeting and I went right to my direct reports and I said, look here, I need you to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is updated. I need you to make sure that your resume is tight. And if you want me to review it, I'm happy to review it. And the third thing is I still have a little bit of money in the budget for training and development. So if there's a conference that you want to go to give you a skill, if there's a certification that you want to seek, you got about another 12 weeks to be able to complete it, or at least to start it. So get your certifications up, get your skills up, get your resume up, get your LinkedIn profile up. Anton, why are you telling me this? Because I want you to be the best professional that you can be. So tighten your stuff up. That's the first thing that I told him. Second thing I told him is this: listen, if somebody's calling you about an opportunity and you want to leave and go to another organization, let me know, because I'd be happy to write you a letter of recommendation, letter of support, and even call them to tell them what an outstanding team member you are. See, my mindset was I couldn't protect my people from what was coming, but I could prepare them. And one way to prepare them is, you know what, to make the burden of losing lower level staff less by having one of my senior leaders who had a greater opportunity to go on somewhere else. And that's exactly what happened. One of my senior leaders, one of my direct reports, found a great opportunity to go work at another organization. And I was happy to support him to go. I didn't want to lose him, but I was happy to support him to go. Why? Because that meant that when it came time to do the layoffs, some of the frontline people with lower level salaries that I wanted to keep, I could justify it because I had a hole in my budget at the top. I was saving the organization more than 6 figures in salary, which could equate to me keeping maybe 2 other people down at the lower level. So I'm giving you that example to say, you got to prepare your people and not protect them. You can't protect them. And preparing them is telling them what they need to know, giving them the tools that they need, giving them the resources that they need so they can be successful. So that's what I mean when I say adaptability is a superpower. You got to be fully clear about things. Move away from control. You got to have awareness of what's going on with your people before you decide to take any kind of action. And then lastly, you got to prepare your people and not protect them. So if this resonated with you, if this helped you in any kind of way, I need you to let me know in the comments. What's your biggest takeaway from today's conversation? And also, what do you need more help with? Because that's my job, is to help you to lead in real time. My job is to help you to get out of those outdated, old school models of leadership that you learned in the classroom in B school in 1999, in 2000, and prepare you for what's happening right now. Uncertainty is a permanent state. So those old models of leadership don't work. And the only thing that will work is being adaptable, knowing how to improvise, adapt, and overcome the current environment. So I want to thank you for watching. Everybody have a fantastic day.